Welcome to the Joy of Cruising podcast with your host, award-winning author Paul C. Thornton, a weekly conversation with the amazing cruisers featured in the Joy of Cruising books, comprised of The Joy of Cruising, Cruising Interrupted, new release, The Joy of Cruising Again, as well as other fun, informative global cruise personalities. It's the next best thing to cruising, hearing about cruising from the unique and diverse perspectives of Paul's amazing guests. If you hear about a cruise that interests you, book it at www.thejoyofvacation.com or enter to win a free cruise for two. Again, www.thejoyofvacation.com. We really appreciate your feedback, so leave us a text. Paul can't reply, but he may read your text on the air.
Hello, passionate cruisers. This is Paul, and I am delighted to welcome this week on the Joy of Cruising podcast, Valencia Wallace, creator of Ladybug Travel of Facebook, Instagram, and with its 55,000 following on TikTok, which is where I met her. I was amazed to learn Valencia decided last year to leave her professional career to embark on a full year at sea. Valencia sails on a variety of Royal Caribbean ships and estimates her one-year journey to cost approximately $50,000. When Valencia's The Joy of Cruising podcast episode airs, she will have completed 2/3 of her year-long journey. We not only want to hear all about what the adventure has been like, but inquiring minds want to know what's next after her one-year adventure is over. Ladybug is a passionate traveler and former healthcare administration professional who has embarked on an extraordinary one-year sabbatical to explore the world by sea. Starting her journey in October 2024, she meticulously planned every detail of her grand adventure without the assistance of a travel agency, showcasing her organizational skills and love for exploration. Over the course of this year, Ladybug will cruise along the stunning East Coast, the enchanting Caribbean islands, and the rich cultures of Europe and the Middle East. Her voyages encompass popular destinations and hidden gems alike, allowing her to indulge in diverse experiences while connecting with fellow travelers. With a background in healthcare administration, Ladybug brings a unique perspective to her travels. Her dedication to service and attention to detail enhance her journey as she navigates new environments with a keen eye for culture and community. Follow Ladybug on her continuous cruising adventure as she shares insights, stories, and breathtaking photographs from around the world, inspiring others to pursue their own travel dreams. Welcome, Valencia, Ladybug Travel, to the Joy of Cruising podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
So, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic. Have no complaints. Really, I can't complain. I'm living a dream life right now.
Now, where am I chatting with you at?
I am on the Dutch island of Bonaire in the Southern Caribbean.
Oh, wow. Bonaire. When did you just arrived?
I arrived here this morning at about 8 o'clock. Yesterday, I was in Aruba. Before that, I was in Sea Day and Grand Cayman. So this particular sailing is going to be the ABC Islands with the addition of Grand Cayman.
Yeah, we did the ABC Islands in late 24. We went to Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, somewhere else I forgot. But beautiful, beautiful part of the world.
Yes.
Well, I can't wait to discuss your amazing, amazing journey. But before we do, tell our listeners about yourself in general. Where you're from, where do you live, professional background, anything you would like to share.
Absolutely. So I am originally from the state of North Carolina, the great state of North Carolina, but I'm coming to you by way of California. That's where I am currently. And
what? Let me jump in, Valencia. What part of North Carolina?
On the what do you call that? The Tidelands, I think, Lumberton.
Okay. I retired to North Carolina a few years ago. I'm not all that familiar with the state, but I'm in Mooresville, which is right outside of Charlotte, North Carolina.
I'm familiar with that area. So I'm closer. The largest city would be Fayetteville,
Okay,
North Carolina, and
okay,
then it's on like close to the border of North and South Carolina.
yeah, yep, been there, been there.
But I haven't been there for many, many moons.
So you are sort of your home base is kind of California now.
Yes,
Hmm.
that's the home base.
Okay. Southern California, Northern.
Southern California, um, Southern California. I don't know if you're familiar with the Brea area,
Okay.
Brea, Orange County, Southern California.
Okay. So I interrupted you. You said you were originally from North Carolina, then California. Go ahead and uh, tell us more.
So, and in my career, I've worked primarily as a registered nurse, but mostly in administration as a registered nurse. So, yeah, in administration, healthcare administration.
Okay. I always ask guests about their cruising background. So what and when was your introduction to cruising?
Oh, my favorite topic. So, my introduction to cruising. I think my first cruise was in about 2011. And my first cruise was to the Bahamas, which is typical of first time cruisers, like a 3 day introduction to cruising.
Mm-hmm.
I fell in love with cruising immediately. My second cruise was literally from China. I went to Hong Kong and I did the Taste of China cruise. My
Wow, wow. You now that's the 3 day Bahamas was your first cruise,
Yeah,
and then what sounds like an absolute bucket list China cruise was your second?
China cruise was the second cruise, and
How much time had passed between the two?
maybe 2 years, maybe 2 years between the two.
Wow, wow. Now, not to pry, but what had changed so much in your circumstances that you went from a 3 day Bahamas cruise to this grand voyage from China?
So I don't think anything changed much in the circumstances. It was just I always had a love for international travel. So I had traveled previously extensively, just not via a cruise ship.
Right.
So I knew I wanted to go to Asia. And by cruising, this would give me the opportunity to visit many of the countries in Asia. So I focused on a taste of Asia, which I went to Hong Kong, and I chose Hong Kong because that country was, I don't want to colonized by the Brits, I'd say. And I knew they would speak English and I would not have as much of a language barrier. So it was easy for me. Although you say it's a bucket list, it was kind of easy because I didn't have a language barrier when I went to Hong Kong. And then I cruised from Hong Kong to South Korea. I had 3 ports in Japan. And the last stop was near Beijing. I think it was Tianjin. That was the last stop, and had the opportunity to go to the Great Wall and then went back to Hong Kong and back to the United States.
Wow. What an itinerary. Now, what cruise line was that?
This was Royal Caribbean. That was Royal Caribbean. And I
And did you say what the 3 day cruise was on?
the first cruise was on Carnival Cruise Line. So the first 3 day cruise was on Carnival Cruise Line. And get this, on my first ever cruise, 3 days, I went on a weekend. I was working. I went with my mom and 4 of her sisters. So it was the 5 of us. I called it a workcation because I worked so hard, like doing everything for them. I was the organizer, the planner, my mom and her 4 sisters. So,
Wow.
and my second one was a true vacation.
Clearly, you mentioned it. You got hooked on the short cruise, but then you did a pretty extravagant long cruise after that. What are some of your cruising highlights?
Well,
And what was the timing, by the way, of these cruises?
the first cruise, I want to say 2011, and the second was 2013. And cruising highlights for me is I absolutely love all things cruising, but it's also an opportunity to see the world and get to all these destinations. So after that, I had a couple of cruises in the United States, and my I want to say fourth, maybe fifth cruise was from Singapore. So I went back to Asia. I fell in love with Asia. I went to Singapore, cruised to Dubai, from Dubai to Barcelona, and then from Barcelona back to the United States. And that was 45 days. And I think that was maybe in 2016.
Wow, 45 days. Now, you caught my attention because you mentioned Dubai. So did you spend time in Dubai during the cruise?
Yes, I did. I did spend time in Dubai. I had the opportunity to do an overnight stay in Dubai, so that was really exciting.
Oh, well, give me the highlights, Valencia. I have a selfish interest because we are going to Dubai in a couple of months. We're actually not cruising. I love cruising and would always choose to cruise first, but my wife likes land travel
Hmm.
more as much as cruising or more than cruising. So, I have to kind of spread it around so that I can continue to go on cruises. So we're going on a land trip to Dubai. And I've had a couple of guests on the podcast who've been, and I have a couple of guests coming up who will talk about Dubai. But this is a pleasant surprise because I didn't know that you had been to Dubai. So talk about your experiences.
So, well, let me go back to one of your previous questions you asked, one of the highlights of cruising. And it's such a small cruise world. And I'd say that, like, you meet the same cruisers for sure. And on that trip to Hong Kong, I met a lady and she worked for the cruise line, but she was on vacation. And we met, we connected, and she told me she worked for Royal Caribbean. Flash forward, and we hung out. We went to Disney in Asia, and there's a ladies' market in Hong Kong that opens at like 9 p.m. and it stays open all night long. So we went to the ladies' market. I had the opportunity to spend some time with her name was Maria, and her mother and her daughter, and they were all on vacation. Flash forward,
Now let me jump in, Melissa. Did you say the ladies' market?
the ladies' market. That's the name of the market in Hong Kong. It's a nighttime market, like a street market, and you go out at night, and they have everything and anything you can imagine that you need to purchase in Hong Kong, and you just barter for your purchases. And it opens at night and it stays open all night long.
Now, does the title ladies' market does it literally specialize in ladies accessories and what have you, or is that just a brand?
That's just the name, but there will be ladies accessories, but there's everything there. Anything that's made in China, you can pretty much find it at the ladies market.
Okay, okay, okay.
So, and fast forward, I'm on Serenade of the Seas, Royal Caribbean, and I'm ordering some orange juice. A lady passes me the orange juice, and it's Maria. So that's one of the highlights, and that was such a special time. So she passed me the orange juice, and she didn't recognize me, of course, just because there's so many people on the cruise line. And I said, "Hi, is that you, Maria?" And she said, "Is that you, Maria?" And she says, "Yes." And I said, "That's my Maria." And then she recognized me at that point.
Uh-huh.
And from the moment that she saw me on the cruise ship, my whole experience was elevated. It was as if I was a family member that was cruising with the crew.
Uh-huh.
So I got all the bells and whistles at that point. I was a VIP. So that was special.
Dubai.
So Dubai. So another sailing, I sailed from Singapore to Dubai. This was a very special cruise. I had stops in India, which is rare. I went to Goa and Cochin, and they're on the southern part of India. I had the opportunity to go to I'm sorry, Muscat, Oman. Um, I went to I don't even know if you call it a home, but it's where the Sultan lives. I went to Petra, the lost island of Petra, or lost city of Petra, when I went to Jordan. Um, I had the opportunity to visit a Bedouin family, rode camels. That was awesome, and I made my
What was that like visiting the how you said Bedouin?
Bedouin family. It was great, and they did not speak any English, and I did not speak. Oh gosh, what is that language? It's Arab. Gosh, Latin. I don't know what their language was, but we were able to communicate, and we didn't have Google Translate or any of that, but we were able to communicate. And I have pictures with the family, and because they don't have any modern technology, like no modern technology, and they live off the land, they literally just go set up their home, their tents, and live there. So I did take pictures, and one of my dreams is to go back and share those photos with that family.
Wow.
So after that, I went to Dubai. So Dubai was, I call Dubai America on steroids. Any and all thing American you will find in Dubai. And it's like all of the greatest landmarks all over the world, all over the world. Now, not just in Dubai, I'd say all over the world. They are in Dubai. They are duplicated, replicated, and imitation is the greatest form of flattery. And with that being said, there is the Atlantis from the Bahamas. And there's that big, I don't know if you've ever seen in Singapore, it's that big hotel. It looks like a spaceship, but there's even a duplication. I think it's the Sands Hotel. There's even a duplication of that hotel in Dubai. So
I've seen the one in Singapore.
yeah. So, and I went to Singapore first, and then I went to Dubai. And I really wasn't expecting to see.
So you saw them both. Okay.
Yes, yes. I wasn't expecting it to see it in Dubai because I'm thinking that's just an architectural feat to have that hotel there. And to see the same thing in Dubai was mind-boggling. But in Dubai, there are also such excesses of wealth that it blows your mind. Just such excesses of wealth when you think about you're going up to the mall and the Uber is a Mercedes, like, or you can Uber a helicopter. Like,
did you visit the what you call it? I might be saying it wrong. Burj Khalifa.
I did go to Burj Khalifa, which is the tallest building in the world. I did go to Burj Khalifa. I went to the name escapes me right now, but the mall that has the ski resort in it.
Uh-huh.
I went there. I went to the aquarium in the mall, and to be honest, there's no way to even walk the mall in one day, probably not even 2 days. Like, you just can't see everything. You cannot. But I would also suggest to go to a souk, and everyone knows what a souk is, and that's where you go and bargain and buy your things, your gold, your jewelry, those types of things. You go to the souk market.
Well, I tell you, we're getting excited, and you just increased that. You just doubled the excitement
Yeah.
factor. So
And make sure you also get some some of the traditional Emirates wear. I don't
uh-huh.
know. Yeah, make sure you get that as well.
Yeah, because we're going on a couple of tours, and I think you have to dress traditionally.
Yeah, that
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about cruising for a year, your sabbatical. Set the stage for us. Where did the idea of cruising for a year come from?
So after I cruised for 45 days, I knew I wanted to cruise for an extended period of time. So the year just happened organically. It's not anything like 2 years ago. I would not have told you that I would be cruising for a year, or even last year. This month here is April. So even last April, I would not have told you that I would be cruising for a year. This idea came to me in July. I started planning, and by October of 2024, I started sailing. And it just happened very organically.
So it just, for lack of a better phrase, it just popped into your head?
I was working full time, and I had been on several cruises throughout the year. So typically you get 4 to 6 weeks vacation. And I had exhausted all of that vacation, and I knew I wanted to continue sailing. So at this point, I had maybe 2 to 3 weeks additional. And I went to my employer, and I didn't feel it was fair for me to say I need more and more time. I wanted a month off at this time. And they were going to give it to me, and give it to me graciously. And but at this point, I just said I'll take this opportunity to go a little bit longer. And 1 month became 3 months, and then 3 months became six, and six became 1 year.
What was most significant in your motivation to go on a cruise for a year?
What was significant?
I mean, I know that you had a taste of it in going for 45 days, but was there some kind of personal goal you were trying to achieve by picking a year? And you call it a sabbatical. Does that mean you're going back to them?
Well, there's a potential that I may go back. This was also an opportunity for me to invest in myself, to try to do something different. So it's an opportunity to invest in myself, to try to do the social media content creation of a travel blogger. And if I'm successful in this endeavor, then no, I will not be going back to work. But if not, then I will have to supplement my income by going back to work,
Okay.
which would be totally okay.
Now, in the intro, I mentioned that you're largely going on Royal Caribbean ships. Is that correct? Or is it largely, or is it exclusively?
No, it's largely, but
Largely.
not exclusively.
Okay. Okay. And then the other thing, I guess I read about you in a magazine, which I referenced in the introduction. I think I recall a number of close to 50,000. Is that about right?
No, well, that was then. So since that time, I'm up to 95,000.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
95 spent to date, or is that what you're budgeting for your year?
No. Okay, 55,000. That was what that was then. But 95,000 probably spent today. I would say yes, for sure. Because
Oh wow.
yeah, somewhere.
I mean, I don't mean to pry. It's just that it was brought up in the article. So
Yeah, I've spent more than what I anticipated, and yeah, it's pretty expensive, I would say. Yeah, for sure.
but you got a lot of content.
Yeah,
You got enough content to, you can write a book, you can start a blog, there's a lot of things I suspect you're going to be able to do when you
absolutely.
come back, and you're not doing so bad while you're out there, because that's how I met you on TikTok.
Yes.
So what's it been like? Start from the beginning and then give us some highlights up to now. And what I said, we're around the 2/3 mark, right?
Yeah, well, we're at halfway. I'm on day 187.
187. Oh, okay.
So we're
So
at the halfway
okay.
mark.
Well, I think I said, yeah, by the time the episode airs, but it airs
Yes.
in a few weeks from when we're recording, so it won't be 2/3. So okay, but yes, start from the beginning. What ship kicked it off? What was it like leaving, friends, loved ones, pets, whatever that you left behind? So talk about it.
So in the beginning, I started from New York, New York, Bayonne. I think it's Bayonne, New Jersey. Yes, on Symphony of the Sea.
Very own, yeah, that's
On Symphony of the Sea. That was my initial
okay.
sailing. And I'll tell you, it took about 60 days for me to just relax and decompress from everyday life of being on time, getting up on time, having a schedule every single day, and to just being able to go with the flow.
It took you
And
60 days?
I would say it took me 60 days to really fully relax. Yes, it
Wow.
did.
It would have taken me a day. But so why was it so hard? Did you now when you were working before you got on the ship, when you were working, were you on site or remote or hybrid?
On site,
Okay, so yeah, that
on site.
that
So
that that's,
you're
that probably would have increased the challenge because you probably started your routine what 6 in the morning probably.
Oh, probably earlier than that. And then you're dealing with traffic. And it's just the hustle and bustle of going every day, getting up, always on schedule. Like even when you get home, you're scheduling going to sleep at night. So your meal preparation, your dinner time, so all of that, it takes a while to de-stress, decompress, and not have to do
What do
everything.
you attribute to? You said it took about 60 days. What do you attribute to bringing about that change where you finally could like exhale?
I think just getting up every morning and watching the sunrise in the middle of the ocean, and then also having the opportunity to watch the sunsets in the evening every day, just being grateful for the experience and acknowledging this experience um, has truly been remarkable.
So that first cruise on Symphony, how long was that cruise?
The first one was 7 days on Symphony, and I did a back to back on the first cruise, and that was to Orlando and Coco Cay, the private island by Royal Caribbean. And then I went to Nassau, Bahamas. So that was the first one. And then I stopped and did the exact same cruise again. After that, um,
Now, when you say the same cruise again, so it was around, you did it round trip and then you did it round trip again.
yes, it was a back to back. I will tell
Okay.
you something else remarkable when I tell you it's a small world. So when I did the 45-day cruise, there was another couple that I met on that same cruise that was in Singapore to Dubai, Dubai to Barcelona, Barcelona to America. When I stepped, I'm walking to get on the cruise ship and someone yells my name. The first day I'm starting this journey. And I haven't shared this with anyone publicly at this time. And someone yells my name, and it was a couple that I had befriended on the 45-day cruise. And not only had I befriended them, but they had been to my home. We had vacation together, and we just kind of lost touch with COVID, like as far as vacationing together. But on my first cruise, I met them. So I knew that was a sign that I was doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm. What was next? You went on a did you start with a series of Royal Caribbean ships?
After that, I want to say I went to Miami, and I sailed from Miami, Fort Lauderdale. I typically, so I book myself for the entire year, and I do either back to back or ship to ship. And ship to ship is just when you get off one ship and you go directly to another ship. Just making sure that I don't have any hotel days because that would cost additional monies.
Right.
And if I'm in Florida, like I'll stay in Florida for spring break. It was very expensive to cruise from Florida. So for spring break, I had to relocate to the Galveston port. And I cruised out of Galveston for like a month. And then from Galveston, I went back to Florida after spring break. And I'll be back in Florida. And then I'm going to Los Angeles, and I'll cruise from there, and then I'll go to Europe, and then my final cruise will be from LA to Tokyo.
Now, in Galveston, what did you cruise?
In Galveston, that was Royal Caribbean and Carnival. So in Galveston, I was on Carnival Breeze for 2 times, and then Jewel of the Seas with Royal Caribbean.
Does any of the staff know who you are and what you're doing?
The staff doesn't know per se because I have not announced it. However, I do meet people on each sailing that know who I am.
Now, I have followed your chronicling of the experience, mostly on TikTok. That seems to be where you really got your following, but you're now branching out to Instagram and Facebook, right?
Correct. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. Instagram is official Ladybug Travel. TikTok is Ladybug Travel. YouTube is official Ladybug Travel. And then Facebook is also Ladybug Travel.
Are you doing a lot on YouTube?
I am. I've recently committed myself to doing 2 videos on YouTube. And then I'm also going live on YouTube, especially with the climate of what we have right now in America and not knowing what's going to happen with TikTok.
Uh-huh.
So absolutely, I know I have to branch out to the other social media channels as well. So I am.
Well, all the best with your YouTube endeavor. It seems like what you're doing very much lends itself to YouTube. It's good to get your perspective, but I also know it's important. Some people are very visual and would like to see what you're doing, and so I wish you the best, and I certainly will tune into your YouTube channel. Now, before we talk about the future of what remains of this trip, what has been the most significant moment up to now? You've cruised much longer than your average cruiser cruises. And so many people have memories after just a week on the ocean. You've been on the ocean for close to some more than 6 months. So what has been your highlight?
My highlight, I've had the opportunity to go to a couple of places that I haven't been before. And I really enjoy doing things that are off the beaten path. I had the opportunity to go to Anguilla when I went to St. Martin. I went to Anguilla. So that was one of the highlights. And then when I went to St. Kitts, I went to Nevis, which was different. And then when I went to Cozumel, I took the ferry to Playa del Carmen and rented a car and drove to Tulum. So I like to do those types of things. Those are my favorite things. Not necessarily the cruise ship excursions, but just to be able to get out and see the different countries.
What about what has been your top cruise ship moment? Anything special? Are you a specialty restaurant person?
Not necessarily a specialty restaurant, and I say that because I'm cruising for an extended period of time. So as far as it wouldn't make sense fiscally to try to do that on a consistent basis. So as far as one of my great experiences, I did zip line on Symphony of the Sea.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot of fun. I did that as well. Don't look down.
So that was a fun experience for sure. And I absolutely love that ship.
So what's in front of you in the remainder of this cruise in terms of ships, destinations, experiences, things that you haven't done before?
So I've sailed in Europe before, but let me tell you about my exciting itinerary in Europe. I will be going to Greece, Rome, the Amalfi Coast. I'm going to have the opportunity to do an overnight in Turkey, which I've never done. Just so many different places. And then, let's see, I'll tell you exactly where I'm going to go to. And that's really exciting. I'm also looking forward to going back to Bermuda. I've only been there one time. So I'll go to Olympia, Greece, Kavala, Greece, Istanbul, Turkey for an overnight, Ephesus, Turkey, Mykonos, Athens, Naples, the Amalfi Coast. So I'm really excited about those destinations.
So really,
Oh, Santorini, Bodrum, Turkey, Rhodes, Greece, Limassol, Cyprus, back to Santorini, Kusadasi, Mykonos. So I'm excited about Europe.
wow, really, it sounds like you've put together almost a world cruise.
Yes, that's exactly what I did. And when people ask why didn't I do the world cruise, because there's no offering right now for the world cruise, and if I stayed on one ship continuously, I would end up going to the same destinations. So I wanted the opportunity to go all across the world.
Now, what about ships? Are there any ships coming up that you have not experienced that you're particularly looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to Wonder of the Seas on Royal Caribbean. That's a brand new ship. I had the opportunity to sail on Celebration, Carnival Celebration. That was my Christmas cruise. And that was nice. Yeah, that was
Oh, wow. I know that. I know that was nice. I've been on that class, but not on that
that one
particular
was
ship.
really nice. Um, and I'm looking forward to Wonder of the Seas. And those are the newest ships. I'm not going to be on many of the newer ships only because those ships don't have the newer ships don't have like the extended sailings at 10 days or 15 days. So I'm trying to book some more of those.
Let's talk about Ladybug Travel. Tell our listeners, who is Ladybug Travels? And you kind of told us already how they can follow you on social media, and we're going to put that in the show notes. But tell our listeners, who is Ladybug Travels?
Hi. Well, Ladybug is a super aware person of who I am. I'm just enjoying life right now. I'm so appreciative of this opportunity and everything that it entails. I'm excited about what the future holds. And then oftentimes people ask me, like, what's your favorite port and what's been your favorite experience? And I don't even know yet because I think it's in the future. So I'm just very excited about this opportunity and humbled.
Talk about the process, Valencia, of becoming a cruise content creator and TikTok star.
Well, that process, I tell you, it's evolving. I'm becoming. And it is evolving. And sometimes I have to think of myself as looking outside, like, is this me? Am I a content creator? Um, I don't know if I've arrived yet. That's why I say I'm becoming, because a lot of times our identity is put into our profession or what you do. And it's not what I do, it's who I am.
Now, when you're not being Ladybug Travel, how do you spend your me time?
How do I spend my me time? I love any and all water activities. So I think my me time is actually just living life. And Travel is an extension of me. I'm doing what I love and having the opportunity to share what I love doing. So it's an extension of me. So I'm doing exactly what I love to do. I wish I had in a dream of dreams, I could have a person to record everything for me so that I don't have to stop in my moments to record it, because I don't think the audience truly gets to see the life, because I have to create that content when behind the scenes it's really the life. When I am out touring, when I'm out snorkeling, when I'm out meeting people, those are the things that I really can't share because I'm in that moment.
Now, you travel solo?
I am traveling with my husband.
Okay. Do you typically travel solo or with your husband or it's a mix?
Um, with him all the time.
Oh, okay.
So all of my travels have been with him.
Okay. Now, is he a content creator?
He is not a content creator. He is definitely not a content creator. He is not comfortable in front of a camera. So,
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the future. Even though I know you have a very ambitious cruising schedule for the next almost 6 months, do you have anything booked beyond that?
so my final cruise will put me in Asia. It will be from LA to Tokyo. Once I get to Tokyo, I'm going to go to South Korea and experience like the whole facial spa treatment beauty regimen over there. My plan is to go to Vietnam for a couple of months and spend some time there, and then I'm going to make my way to Australia because I haven't cruised from Australia, and then I'll come back to the United States.
Wow. Do you even have anything left on your bucket list? You sound like you've lived out your cruising bucket list, but I don't suspect that you're done. Well, where do you want to go that you haven't been to?
I want to go to Vietnam. I haven't been there. I feel like I don't have a bucket list. I have a do it list. And I'm not saving anything because you never know what can happen. So I'm not saving anything. I'm not saving any clothes. I'm just not saving anything. I'm doing it. I'm not waiting for the moment. The moment is now.
I like that, Valencia. Your thinking sounds kind of like mine. Well, before we let you go, I want to ask some rapid fire style questions that
Okay.
you are probably as well qualified as anyone to answer, given your cruising and travel background. Uh,
Okay.
have you ever had a pinch me, I'm dreaming moment on a cruise?
Yeah. And I have those all the time. Like literally just watching the sunrise over the ocean. It's a pinch me moment, or when I catch the ferry, or I am stepping foot on an island or a country that I've never been to. They're all pinch me moments. They truly are.
What's your go-to meal and drink on a cruise?
My go-to meal is filet, of course. I love a delicious steak. And my drink, I would say, is a latte, an iced latte.
Ice
Yes.
latte, okay. What's the most adventurous thing you've done on a cruise?
The most adventurous, I would say, renting a car in a foreign country and just scouring the country and learning about the country by myself. I've zip lined in Anguilla, which was so much fun. Um, Riding a four-wheeler in Anguilla, riding a scooter in Bermuda, uh, riding the bus in Barcelona, the city bus. Just those adventures, just getting out.
But I'd love to do a lot of the things you mentioned, but I tell you, I went to Bermuda once. It was on a land trip, and everybody was into, the thing that tourists did was rent scooters. And I rented a scooter. What I didn't know is you pretty much drove among the traffic. And Valencia, they tried to kill me. They looked like they were coming for me. It was like, it's like I had tourists written on my back. And they did not have any tolerance for beginners. And I was truly a beginner.
Yeah,
Uh,
and
one of the worst excursions I ever took in my life.
I would not recommend that. And a lot of people don't know when you go to Bermuda, when you book that trip, it's always going to be an overnight just because it takes so long to get to Bermuda on a cruise ship. So my recommendation would be to rent a car, and you'd have the car for 24 hours. So you have it the day you get there and then the morning before you leave. So that would be my recommendation. Definitely not a scooter. So if you don't have your activities planned, you may, once you get to the island, step off and get a scooter, but I would not recommend that.
Have you ever missed the port?
I have not missed a port, but I have been very late once. I was in St.
Or
Martin.
I should say, have you ever missed getting back on the
I
ship?
understand. I was in St. Martin. I took the ferry to Anguilla. Did not realize that all the traffic from the French side of the island has to come on one bridge to the Dutch side. It took me about 2 hours to get back to the port. I did call the emergency travel number, and they waited on me for 30 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And they were very appreciative that I called. So when I got there, they said, "Thank you for calling," versus them calling me and looking for me. And when I tell you the communication was excellent, they called me about every 2 minutes. "Where are you now? Where are you now?" Which gave me a lot of anxiety, but they did wait.
Well, that's very different. That's very different than a
And,
story I did a few months ago on someone who ship left them, and yeah,
oh
it
no.
was quite a story. And the thing is, I didn't realize leading up to having them on that they had been in touch with the ship while they were still at the port. Uh, yeah. Check it out when you get a chance. Called the Galt Family's Alaskan Nightmare,
Oh, oh
and
God.
it was a nightmare. Okay, what's the funniest thing that's happened to you on a cruise?
The funniest thing that's happened to me on a cruise, I would say just singing in karaoke. That's not me.
And you
I
did it.
did it. I did it. I stepped out of my comfort zone.
Have you ever had a celebrity sighting on a cruise?
I have not had any celebrity sightings. I have not.
Well,
I don't know. Is that a common thing for people to meet celebrities on cruise ships?
no, it's not common. Although, now I like going on theme cruises. And so, if you go on theme cruises, of course you're going to meet celebrities because that's, especially if the theme, I've been on like the smooth jazz cruise. So, there's nothing but celebrities from the jazz world. So, I have pictures of me at the buffet, with a jazz star, stuff like that. I've been on the Soul Train cruise. Again,
Oh
nothing
my.
but stars on the Soul Train cruise. Festival at Sea is another cruise where it's not fully a music cruise, but you have music stars who come on, comedians. So so but other than that, I think real celebrities probably go on like private yachts, if they love to, I mean, if I became a celebrity, that
Yeah.
wouldn't change the fact that I love to cruise. So I would still find a way to do my thing, but probably would have to change it up a little. That wouldn't that would be a good problem to have.
Yes. Well, one story, I was once locked in the Gucci store with Jack Cure, who's a reggae singer. He's a big time reggae singer. But I didn't know who he was. And I was on a tour, and the bus driver was waiting on me. And this was in Nassau, Bahamas. I was in the Atlantis Hotel, went to the Gucci store. And all of a sudden, the salespeople were being extremely nice to me as if they knew me. And I had no idea of who he was until later on. I saw like all the billboards and everything.
Okay. All right. What's the most romantic moment you've experienced on a cruise?
I've experienced a wedding proposal, and I've also seen two weddings.
Now, when you say you've experienced a wedding proposal, did you observe one, or are you talking about yours?
No, I witnessed. I
Oh, okay.
witnessed.
Okay. Well,
And
that's
funny
very.
story, I was on TikTok at the time, so I was doing TikTok live, and a gentleman got down on one knee, and the people on TikTok were like, "No, don't do it, don't do it."
Why would I say no? Don't do it. That should have been romantic for everyone.
No, they said, "Don't do it."
Wow, that's no, it doesn't sound very comforting for the groom
So
or the bride. Or
that was the most
hmm?
romantic. So I don't know if that's romantic or cryptic.
Yeah. Uh, have you ever had a travel fail moment on a cruise?
A travel fail moment. Once when my clothes did not arrive, that was a travel fail.
Ah,
Yes.
Oh, that's something that I think about not all the time, but oh, that happened to you. How long were you without clothes?
For one day, and this is so crazy. And the airline, my flight was delayed. The airline gave me one of those little kits that they give you with the big white T-shirt, and I literally had to wear that the next day.
Well, even one day would be
And so
tough, but I've heard worse.
it, it was tough.
Wow. Well, last rapid fire question. Have you in your well, I asked you earlier, does any crew know what's going on with you? And you said you pretty much kept it private. Have you met any well, you did meet a crew member, the woman that you traveled with, and then you ended up on a cruise with her.
Yes. So I'm saving my big announcement once the journey is complete. So, like my last few sailings, then I will announce to the crew.
Okay. Okay. Um, Now, let me ask you this. I mean, you might become known before then. Are you familiar with what's his name, Super Mario?
I am. I am. I've never met him, but I am aware of his story.
Okay. So for the listeners who don't know about Super Mario, he's a guy does something similar to what Valencia is doing, except he never gets off, Royal Caribbean. So he goes on a series of Royal Caribbean cruises, much in the same manner as Valencia. In other words, he might do 7 days, then he might do, 14 days, but it's not like a continuous Royal Caribbean cruise. But he's doing that for an indefinite period. He's done it for, I don't know, 20 years now, and he's still going to do it in the foreseeable future, from what I know. I wouldn't be surprised if you kind of become part of the lore of Royal Caribbean, just like Super Mario has, although not as big, but that you're a story as well. I mean, how did you got in what was it, the Guardian? I read an article about you, right?
I was in the Daily Mail. The
The
Daily
Daily Mail.
Mail.
Okay, I'm sorry. And so yeah, you know, maybe after this podcast, Royal Caribbean will be a little more cognizant of Ladybug Travel. Well, yep. Well, Valencia, thank you for coming on the Joy Cruising podcast, and all the best to Ladybug Travels. You're now a friend of the show. I would be very interested in what you end up doing maybe a year from now. You will have been off the cruise for 6 months. So maybe we'll pencil you in and have you come back on at that time to tell us, what you're up to, and have there been any long-term benefits or effects of what you did.
Absolutely. I'd love that. And thank you so much for having me.
Well, you're very welcome. And as I like to say, we'll see you on the ocean.
Absolutely. Thank you, Paul.
The Joy of Cruising and Cruising Interrupted, each $16.99 plus shipping, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again for $18.99, can be ordered at the link on thejoyofcruisingpodcast.com. For each of the 3 books, use the discount code Joy of Cruising Podcast and get $4 off. The Joy of Cruising books are also available at Amazon. Order the ebook at Amazon or your favorite online retailer. Stay in touch by joining the Joy of Cruising Podcast Facebook group or following the Joy of Cruising Podcast on Instagram. We're constantly adding new shows. Please leave a review and tell a friend about us. We hope you enjoyed this brief escape to the ocean. See you next week.